Before you buy any insurance product, ask yourself these two questions. Am I buying the cheapest product or am I buying the smartest product? The reason why that's important is because there's a big difference between saving for today versus building wealth for tomorrow. And in today's video, what we want to do is help you break down how do you pick the best policy for you and your family.
This is going to be the guide, family. So go ahead and pull out a pen and paper because we're going to take you through everything that we wish we did as we were going through this process, so that you can really be thorough and think this through. Okay. Right. So the idea is, let's clear the slates, please. Like Control Alt Delete everything that you've already been taught about life insurance. Right. Clear the decks. First point, let's talk about life insurance products. There's two products that we're going to talk about today: term insurance and permanent insurance. Term insurance is for a specific period of time, right? So let's say 10 years, 15 years, 20 years, for example. It's only going to be for a short period of time, but term insurance is going to provide you with the largest amount of coverage, your death benefit, at the cheapest amount, right? Nothing can beat term insurance as far as the cheapest premium is concerned. So what you need to ask yourself when you're considering term insurance is, do I only need insurance for a specific period of time? Or could I potentially leverage this to get some coverage now and then maybe upgrade my policy, maybe convert it into a permanent product like whole life, we'll get to there in the future, so that I can have permanent coverage? Those are the things you need to ask yourself. Now let's talk about permanent coverage. Permanent coverage, whole life specifically, that we're going to be talking about on this video, is coverage for your entire life. Okay, so you don't have to be worrying about 10 years from now I need more insurance, 15 years from now I need more insurance. Your coverage your whole life. It is more expensive, family. Yes, it's more expensive than term insurance because it's covering you for your whole life. Okay, the other thing to note is there are some benefits that come along with whole life insurance products, which we'll get to, that allow you to do more things, which is why it's more expensive. And I'm hitting on this because a lot of people say whole life insurance is so much more expensive. Yes, because it does different things.
Right, yeah. And the reason why it's so expensive, to Carmen's point, it is guaranteed death benefit.
Yes.
Because it is permanent. It is guaranteed death benefit. Whereas term insurance is temporary and
it's not
guaranteed. It goes out when you need it the most, which is when you're older.
Yeah. And we're saying it's not guaranteed in the fact of, if you have term insurance during the 10 years you have that term and you don't pass away, what happens? So the thought is now I'm 10 years older, it's going to be more expensive to cover me. So these are things that you need to consider. Only thing that we're talking about right now, point number one, term insurance versus permanent insurance. Ask yourself the question, do I want temporary coverage or do I want something a little bit more permanent?
Yeah, and what dictates that is your lifestyle. There isn't one size fit all. That's why we're having this conversation. There is not a one size fits all, no matter what a guru says or what may have you, how you came to this point. It depends on your lifestyle and how you are answering these questions for yourselves personally.
Thank you for saying that, because again, we're also, like we said, Control Delete. We don't care what your investments are. We don't care about all that type of stuff. Just stay with us, keep it simple. How do I want my coverage? Do I want it temporarily or do I want it permanent? Just ask yourself that.
Yeah, two easy questions. The next thing is going to be calculating the right coverage for you. This is a big one because there's a rule of thumb that says to multiply your income times 10. Yes, that's great, but when it comes to understanding your coverage, let's take it a step further. And Carmen's going to break down how much the insurance company give you based on your age.
Yeah, so what we're talking about, the conversation we're having, is your human life value, meaning what is your worth right now while you're here in this world, okay? So if my income, for example, is $100,000, if I were to do the 10 times example like Darius would say, I would multiply my income, 100,000 by 10, that means I could have $1 million of death benefit.
Right.
But like you said, let's take this a step further. Your human life value is going to be dependent on when you could potentially assume that you will stop working. For me, I'm not going to stop working within 10 years. Will probably continue working for many more years. So the point is, this is all going to be dependent on your age. So we'll put this on the screen for you so that you can see. If you are 40 and younger, family, multiply your income by 30. If you are 41 to 50, multiply your income by 20. If you are 51 to 60, multiply your income by 15. And if you are 61 to 70, multiply your income by 10. And lastly, if you are 71 and up, multiply your income by 5. That is going to be the maximum amount of life insurance or death benefit that you could apply for, considering your age and your human life value.
Right. Now let's go into a little more detail about how you choose the right life insurance policy for you. The first thing is going to be to take a look at the coverage amount. Your coverage amount is basically your death benefit. So based on the amount of money that I want to pay in premium, or based on my coverage amount, what is this policy providing me as far as death benefits? So that's one line item that you look at on every single policy that you get. The next thing.
Well, before we jump into the next thing, right? So going back to that calculation that you just did, that's what Darius means by coverage amount.
Yes.
So now that you know that number, you need to ask yourself, do I want that whole enchilada? If I'm worth $3 or $5 million, do I want all of that in death benefit? Do I just want 50% of it, a piece of it? You have to ask yourself that question, but at least you know the ceiling, and then you figure out your coverage amount.
Right. No matter what policy you're looking at, that's what you're going to take in consideration first, is the coverage amount. The second thing is going to be the premium structure. Am I paying this premium for every month? Am I paying it quarterly? Am I paying it annually? Am I paying it semi-annually? Is that the right fit for me when it comes to the premium structure?
Also, am I paying it for 10 years, 20 years?
Yes.
My whole life? Is it going up? Is it going down? All of those things you need to consider.
Exactly. The third thing that you want to take in consideration is your cash value performance. Now, this only applies to whole life products or permanent products. A cash value is basically a component that builds up in your life insurance policy that you have the option to either withdraw, or you can leverage to get a loan from the insurance company. So if you have a permanent product, this is something that you want to take in consideration when looking at all the different life insurance policies, no matter what. The next thing is going to be riders and add-ons. Now, here is the customization that you can add on to your policy or your policy premium that gives you additional perks. An easy one would be like a terminal illness rider. Terminal illness rider is basically an add-on to your life insurance policy that gives you the ability, so if you have a terminal illness, you'll be able to tap into that terminal illness before you pass away to take care of your medical expenses. A next one that's going to be real important is going to be a conversion option. These for the individuals who, for example, has a term life insurance policy and want that option in the future. If they want to convert their term into a whole life, they're able to do it within the same company. This is big for us as we think about our lifestyle changes or our cash flow changing as we get older. We want to be able to convert our term policy, or have the option to convert our term policy into a whole life policy.
Which again addresses what I was saying earlier as far as having a term life insurance. Am I just kind of bookmarking it right now from an affordability standpoint so I have some coverage, and know that in the future maybe I'm upgrading to a whole life insurance policy?
Yeah, because this gives me an analogy of, would I buy the cheapest car? If I'm in the business for a car, looking for a car, would I buy the cheapest car without looking at the gas mileage, the performance?
Yeah.
How do you maintain that car? What's the car payments? That's basically what we're saying to do with your life insurance policy. Just think about it as if you're researching for a car. What are the bells and whistles that you're going to want on your car? Think about your policy the same way. The details.
Now, the next thing is evaluating the life insurance company. We get this so often where you guys are like, what insurance companies do you work with? And how do you know which one's better? The point is there are several sites that you can actually do the research yourself to figure out what companies are the most financially sound. So we'll put it on the screen for you. There are actually two sites where you can go research the financial soundness of the companies. The first one we will say is AM Best, and the second one is Moody's. And with these two sites, you can look at the company history, you can look at their ratings, you can look at the financial stability, and then that will allow you to know, okay, if I'm working with an A+ company or an A- company or a B- company, you'll be able to compare and contrast. And that way you've done all of your homework, so when you meet with a life insurance agent, you've already done your homework and you know the preferences you have as far as the life insurance companies are concerned.
Right, because at the end of the day, you're not just buying a policy, you're buying
The company.
stability, or you're buying you're determining who's going to cut your family a check at the end of the day. So you want stability over somebody that just started like 2 years ago, just to be honest.
These will be the key points that you want to look at as you're doing your research on AM Best or Moody's. The first thing is you want to look at the company history. You want to look at the grading that they have. Typically, you want to work with companies that have an A rating or higher because it'll be like A minus, A plus, for example. You want to look at complaint ratios, payout histories, how long have they been paying dividends, and honored claims. Those are good ways to start so that you can really make sure that you understand the stability of the company that you could potentially be working with.
Right. Now, one thing I do want to go back to is talk about like understanding policy features, like riders as an example, because it's important to know, like, if you have a life insurance policy and you become disabled, how are you going to maintain the policy payments on those? So that's a product feature that you should ask your agent about is there a waiver of premium option if I was to become disabled? Because we never know what's going to happen, but we need to make sure that our family is covered in the event that it does. Another thing I want to bring up as it relates to riders is like a long-term care benefit, because this is something that we don't necessarily take into consideration until we need it. It's not something that you plan for and like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do long-term care. It's something that happens with us as we age that we need to talk to our insurance agent about whether or not this is a perk that can be added to the policy or something that comes along with the policy depending on where you live in the United States. So I wanted to bring that back into the conversation because it's really, really important that I want to introduce you to some of the questions that you can ask that you may not know to ask.
So it's about future planning.
Yes.
So going back to the cheapest or the smartest option, if I'm looking at the whole kit and caboodle, what options and benefits and features are available to me so I can really build this skyscraper the best way and the one that's going to fit my specific needs.
Right.
At this point, we've given you the blueprint so that you can really have some sound understandings as you go into shopping for your next whole life insurance policy. Now, here are the juicy details that you need to know because it's all about you, which is how can you qualify for life insurance?
The factors to take in consideration at this time is going to be your age. Now, I want to sit on age for a little while because you're not getting any younger. The youngest you'll ever be is your age right now. The next thing is going to be your health. Age and health is probably the biggest factors that come into the policy that you're buying and how much you're paying for the set coverage that you're applying for.
Now, with that being said too, we also know that age and health is another reason why people don't do it in the first place. So just because you're 60 and 70 years old doesn't mean that you still can't get life insurance. Just because you may have high blood pressure or high cholesterol, or maybe you had some history, that doesn't mean that you still can't qualify for life insurance. So again, speak to somebody, speak to an agent. Wealth Nation, we can serve you. So you can just ask the questions to figure out what your insurability is, but don't just not do it because you assume that it's going to be too expensive or that you can't qualify.
Right, and the best thing for you to do is to be honest with whoever you're talking to, because if you say you want to wait, you're not getting any younger tomorrow. And that means that premium price, regardless of how good your health is, isn't going up because of your age. The next thing to consider is your tobacco use. If you're a smoker, you like your occasional cigar or whatever it may have you, this could affect your ability. It doesn't affect your ability to buy life insurance. It may affect the cost of it because by using tobacco products, it increases your risk of death prematurely as compared to somebody who doesn't smoke.
The other thing you need to be aware of is your family's health history, because life insurance companies are going to ask, so we want to make sure that you are aware of that. Just because your great aunt maybe had breast cancer doesn't mean that you will be uninsurable, but the point is they're going to want to know about your family's health history.
Right. The last thing that affects your life insurance coverage is going to be your hobbies and your activities. If you are a stunt double, then you could possibly have a higher premium amount because of your occupation. Or if you paraglide, things like that. Anything that's considered or deemed risky, you may be higher risk for the insurance company. The reason why we wanted to bring all this in is because a lot of times people ask us, what determines how much I pay for life insurance? And of course, it's going to be your age, your health, and your activities and your occupation. So that is exactly what allows you to get the cheapest and most affordable policy for you is you.
You've done your research, you know the products that you want and potentially the features and benefits that are going to come along with your policy. So now the next step is applying for life insurance. So the first things first is you need to find an agent that you feel comfortable working with. Do you think that they will be able to help and manage you long term? So what's going to happen is when you find your agent, and hopefully it's Wealth Nation, just saying, once you find your agent, the first thing that they typically will probably do once you determine the life insurance product that you want, right? They may show you a handful of different illustrations, which is just the breakdown of the policy that they've designed for you. Once you've decided, okay, I want illustration A, then you're going to move on to your insurance application, where the life insurance agent is going to ask you questions about yourself. So your health history, maybe your financials. And that is going to be the information that is then transferred to the life insurance companies, and they are going to begin what is called the underwriting process. Underwriting is just the insurance companies doing their due diligence to make sure that they are evaluating you properly to determine if they are going to take you on as a client and they are going to insure you.
How much risk they want to take on regardless of how much money you got.
So what they're looking for in the background is they're going to evaluate your health. They're going to be able to run all of your prescription history, so be sure you're honest about that. They're going to be sure to run all of your health history, so be sure to be honest about that. They're going to be able to do a sweep of your financials, because basically what they're looking at is, do you have anything in collections? If you do, from a financial standpoint, they're wondering how you're going to pay your premiums. They're also going to look at like traffic violations. So if you have DUIs and things of that nature, they're also going to be wondering,
because that increases your risk.
Because it increased your risk. So these are the things that the life insurance companies are considering. What you need to do, family, is you need to give all of this information up front to your agent. It makes our lives so much easier, because I can't tell you how many times we've submitted your application on your behalf and you withheld those 4 DUIs and then the insurance company's like, what's up with John Smith? You're like, he didn't tell us. He didn't disclose his information, right? So what you need to know, family, what a lot of people don't understand when they're applying for life insurance is we are your advocates, okay? We are the liaison between you and the life insurance company, and the better you can help us get you a policy, the better we can fight for you, right? So give us all of the information. If you had breast cancer in 1997, we need to know about it. If your best friend stole your cookies in 2nd grade, we need to know about it, because the life insurance companies are going to ask, and it just makes us look more prepared, and it makes us and you, the client, look like we're in tandem and we're in unison. Okay, so whatever you have, please share it. Don't not disclose it, because it's going to come up. I guarantee it's going to come up.
Right. So just to bring it all home, like we went through all this information so that you can make sure that you pick the right policy for you, whether it be you're looking for the cheapest premium or you're looking for a policy that supports your financial goals and your family's lifestyle in the future. We're your advocates for that. So this is all the information you need to pick the right policy for you. And if it's something that we can help you with, make sure you click on the link below to become a client.
And remember to own your own lifestyle,
or someone else will.